AI. It seems like it's everywhere these days, right? But with all the hype, there's a kind of crucial question we need to ask.
Yeah.
What if this incredibly powerful tech, what if it goes rogue?
Well, that's I guess you could say, the million-dollar question. And that's why AI safety is such a really critical part of this whole AI revolution. It's often overlooked, too.
Kind of, I don't know, like giving a chainsaw to a toddler, a lot of things could go wrong.
That's one way to put it, yeah. Researchers are actually, they're using a method from cybersecurity. It's called red teaming to, uh, to find and fix vulnerabilities, but before the bad guys can, exploit them.
So they're like pretending to be the bad guys to expose those weak points.
Exactly. And we're going to be exploring how they do this. They do this by crafting what are called adversarial prompts. These are designed to basically trick these large language models, LLMs, into, behaving badly.
And these are the same kind of technology that powers ChatGPT, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll see how even like advanced models like GPT-4 can be vulnerable, and why techniques like the grandma exploit are um, are raising concerns about the potential for manipulation.
Grandma exploit. Okay. That sounds intriguing and a little scary. Is it as sinister as it sounds?
We'll get into the details of how it works a bit later, but it's a prime example of uh, how attackers can use like emotional appeal or logical loopholes to bypass safety protocols.
Sounds like we're about to enter like a world of digital deception.
Indeed. But the good news is that researchers are fighting back. They're developing some pretty impressive defenses. Some of them, like R2D2, even sound like they're straight out of science fiction.
R2D2. Okay, now you have to tell me more about that.
Patience. We'll get to that. The point is, whether you're, a tech enthusiast or just someone who uses AI in their daily life, understanding these challenges is key to shaping a future where AI is used for good.
All right, I'm hooked. Let's start with the why. Why is AI safety such a big deal? Paint me a picture of what could go wrong.
Well, imagine a world where AI-powered systems are used to spread misinformation on a massive scale, and where our privacy is constantly under threat from AI algorithms that know more about us than we do.
Yeah, that's a pretty bleak picture. And we've seen hints of this already, right? Didn't Microsoft have a chatbot that went rogue a few years back?
Yeah, you're talking about Tay. It was designed to learn from online conversations, but it ended up spewing offensive content within hours. A stark reminder, I think, of how quickly things can go wrong.
That's a pretty clear sign that we need to proceed with caution. Weren't there studies showing that even supposedly helpful AIs could be like tricked into doing harmful things?
Yeah, the Anthropic study showed how even AIs that are designed to be helpful could be manipulated into promoting unethical behavior. They did it with like cleverly crafted prompts.
So the stakes are they're pretty high. But how do researchers actually go about red teaming these LLMs? What does that process look like?
Well, it starts with understanding the potential threats. Think of it like a game of chess where you're trying to anticipate your opponent's every move.
So they're basically thinking like the bad guys, trying to figure out all the ways that someone could misuse AI.
Precisely. And they create what are called threat models. These are basically scenarios that simulate real-world attacks.
Well, what? Give me an example.
Imagine someone trying to jailbreak an AI, bypassing its safety filters to
Right.
get it to generate like harmful or offensive content, or they might try to extract sensitive data from the AI's training set.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. So they've got these threat models in place. What do they do next?
Next, they look for vulnerabilities, the the weak points in the AI system that an attacker could exploit. These are known as attack surfaces.
Where might these attack surfaces be found?
Well, they could be anywhere, from the input prompts that users give to the AI to the very architecture of the model itself, um, even the environment where the AI is deployed.
Okay, so they're looking at the whole system, not just the AI's code.
Right.
Makes sense. But how do they actually test these vulnerabilities?
That's where those adversarial prompts we talked about earlier, that's where they come in. They're specifically crafted to trigger the AI into behaving in a way it shouldn't.
So these are kind of like the weapons in their arsenal, the tools they use to probe for weaknesses.
Exactly. And these prompts can take many forms. There's token manipulation, where they subtly change the wording of a prompt to alter its meaning.
Okay, so like swapping out a word or two to make it sound harmless but actually trigger something bad.
Right. Or there's what's called semantic preservation, where the overall meaning of the prompt stays the same, but they tweak the wording to like confuse the AI.
Okay, that sounds even sneakier. Can you give me an example?
Imagine using a technique called bird attack, where they swap out words with semantically similar ones. The AI thinks it's understanding the prompt correctly, but those subtle changes can lead to unexpected behavior.
Wow, that's like playing mind games with the AI. Are there any other types?
Oh, there are many. Another category is persuasive techniques. This is where it gets really interesting because it's not just about manipulating the language. It's about exploiting the AI's ability to understand like context and emotion.
Okay, now I'm really curious about the grandma exploit you mentioned earlier. How does that work?
Well, imagine asking the AI for something dangerous, like instructions for building a bomb.
Yeah, I can already see where this is going.
But instead of phrasing it directly, you frame the request as if you're a concerned grandma who needs to understand these things to protect her family. So by appealing to the AI's desire to be helpful and its understanding of human emotions, you can bypass its safety protocols.
That is both brilliant and terrifying. It shows just how vulnerable these systems can be to psychological manipulation.
Exactly, and it highlights a crucial point. These attacks aren't just about finding technical loopholes. They often exploit the very things that make AI so powerful. Its ability to understand language, context, and even human psychology.
It's like you have to think like a hacker, but also like a psychologist at the same time. It's a whole other level.
Yeah, it really does add another layer of complexity to this whole red teaming thing. And it underscores why this work is so important. As AI gets more sophisticated, we need to be stay ahead of the curve, ahead of those who would misuse it.
It's a constant arms race, really. The attackers come up with these like crazy techniques, and
Yeah.
the defenders have to figure out new defenses.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's a great analogy.
Hmm.
And that's why researchers are constantly working on new adversarial prompts. They're trying to up their game too. For example, there's multimodal attacks,
Hmm.
which combine text with images or even audio to trick the AI.
So they're like weaponizing multimedia, exploiting the AI's ability to process all these different types of information.
Exactly. And then there are what are called temporal attacks. Those mess with the AI's sense of time
Oh,
to try and get it to reveal information that it shouldn't.
that sounds really hard. How do you even start to defend against something like that?
It's a real challenge for sure. But that's where the AI safety community, they're really creative. They're coming up with all sorts of defenses to try to counter these attacks.
Okay, I'm ready for some good news. Tell me about these defenses. How are they making these LLMs more resistant?
Well, first of all, it's important to remember that researchers aren't just, sitting around watching all this happen.
Right.
They're actively developing defenses.
Yeah.
And some of them are pretty ingenious.
So tell me about them.
One key tool is the use of benchmarks. Think of these as standardized tests for AI safety. They give researchers a common set of challenges to evaluate the different defenses.
Oh, so like crash tests for cars, but for AI.
Precisely. One benchmark called HarmBench covers over 500 different types of potentially harmful behavior.
Hmm.
It helps researchers systematically test the AI's resilience against a whole range of attacks.
Okay, so that sounds pretty comprehensive. What other defenses are they working on?
Well, they're approaching it on multiple levels. So at the model level, they're making the AI itself more robust.
Mhm.
This involves things like adversarial training, where they expose the AI to adversarial prompts during training.
Oh, so it's like giving the AI a vaccination
Yeah.
by exposing it to like a weaker version of the virus.
That's a great analogy. And then there's RLHF. That's reinforcement learning from human feedback,
Huh.
which is all about aligning the AI's behavior with human values and ethics.
It's like teaching it right from wrong by like constantly giving it feedback.
Exactly. But it's not just about the AI itself. They're also working on defenses at the prompt level.
Wait, what does that mean?
So this involves things like sanitizing the input, scrubbing out any harmful elements before they even reach the AI, and there are also ways to detect adversarial prompts in real time, like a security guard for the AI.
Okay, I'm starting to feel a bit safer now, but what if those defenses fail? Would all hope lost?
Not at all. There are also system-level defenses. This could involve using multiple AI models, each with its own strengths and weaknesses, to create a more resilient system.
Oh, so kind of like a team of superheroes,
Right.
each with their own superpowers.
Exactly. There's also the possibility of human oversight for, really important applications. Having a human in the loop can provide an extra layer of security. And finally, they use output filtering to catch any harmful content before it, gets out there.
Wow, it sounds like they're really pulling out all the stops. But are these defenses, are they actually working? Are we making any progress in this fight against adversarial attacks?
We are. One particularly promising example is something called R2D2,
Right.
which stands for Robust Refusal Dynamic Defense.
R2D2, like the droid from Star Wars.
Yes. It's a little nod to our favorite droid. And just like its namesake, R2D2 is proving to be pretty effective at defending against these attacks.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does it work?
So it's a method that incorporates automated red teaming into the AI's training. So it's constantly challenging the AI with these adversarial prompts,
Oh,
forcing it to adapt and become more resistant.
like a constant workout to make it stronger.
Exactly. And the results are pretty impressive. R2D2 has been shown to reduce the attack success rate by a factor of 4.
Wow. Okay, so even though these attacks are getting more complex, researchers are finding ways to stay ahead.
That's right. The field is really moving quickly, and this back and forth between attack and defense is actually driving innovation in AI safety. It's pushing us to develop new, better ways to protect these systems.
Yeah, it's encouraging to see that progress is being made. We've talked a lot about these technical defenses. What about the human side of things? Where does human judgment fit into all of this?
That's a great question, and it brings us to one of the most powerful tools we have, RLHF.
RLHF, remind me what that stands for again.
Right, reinforcement learning from human feedback. It's not just about making AI technically robust. It's about aligning its values with ours.
Right, because at the end of the day, we want AI that's not only smart but ethical, right?
Exactly.
How does RLHF help us do that?
Think of it as a feedback loop. Humans evaluate the AI's outputs,
Yeah.
rewarding good behavior and penalizing bad behavior. So over time, the AI learns to align its decisions with human preferences and ethical guidelines.
So it's kind of like training a dog.
Yeah.
Lots of positive reinforcement.
You got it. But it's more than just teaching the AI to obey. It's helping it to understand the nuances of human values, things
Yeah.
that can't really be coded.
So it's about developing a moral compass for the AI.
Exactly. And here's the key thing. RLHF is not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing process. As new attacks emerge, humans can provide feedback, which helps the AI adapt and become more resilient.
It's like having a personal ethics coach, constantly, refining its moral code. But does it actually make a difference when it comes to these adversarial attacks?
It does. RLHF has been shown to make AIs much, much better at distinguishing between benign and malicious requests, so they're less likely to fall for those cleverly disguised prompts.
Okay, so it's like giving them a BS detector.
Precisely. It also helps them to refuse, inappropriate requests, even when they're phrased in a manipulative way.
Yeah, it's not just about making them smarter, it's about making them wiser. That wisdom is key for navigating the world of human values and ethics. This has given me a lot to think about. Before we wrap up, I'm curious about the future. What are the big challenges? What are the things that are keeping researchers up at night?
Oh, there are a few. One of the biggest is figuring out how to scale these red teaming efforts to handle the really massive models that are coming out.
I bet you're talking about models like GPT-4. That thing's so complex, finding its vulnerabilities must be finding a needle in a haystack.
It really is. These models are so vast and intricate that traditional red teaming, it doesn't work. We need new approaches, new tools that can handle this level of complexity.
So it's not just throwing more computing power at it. We need a smarter approach.
Exactly. Brute
Right.
force isn't gonna cut it. We need smarter algorithms, ways to analyze these massive amounts of data. We got to get creative.
Makes sense. What else is keeping AI safety people up at night?
Well, another big challenge is the search for what are called universal attacks. Those are exploits that work across different AI systems, regardless of how they're built or the training data.
Like a master key that can unlock any AI's dark side.
Right. If researchers find these universal vulnerabilities, it would expose fundamental flaws in how we're building AIs. We'd have to rethink the whole approach to AI safety.
That's a scary thought, but I guess better to find those weaknesses now than later, right?
Exactly. It's like patching a security hole in your
Yeah.
software before the hackers find it.
Right.
The sooner the better.
Okay, so scaling, red teaming, and finding these universal attacks, those are the big scary ones. What about the more like day-to-day challenges, the nuts and bolts?
Well, one area that needs constant work is developing better benchmarks and evaluation metrics.
What do you mean by that? Why are benchmarks so important in this field?
So benchmarks are like standardized tests for AI safety. They give researchers a common set of challenges and scenarios to test how effective the different defenses are.
So it's a way to compare apples to apples, see which defenses are actually working.
Exactly. Without standardized benchmarks, it's really hard to measure progress.
Yeah.
Or compare results from different research.
That makes sense. Are there any like widely accepted benchmarks being used?
Yeah, there are several. One example is HarmBench, which covers like over 500 different types of potentially harmful behavior. It's really valuable.
Okay, so having these standardized benchmarks is crucial
It is.
for moving the field forward.
Yeah, it allows researchers to collaborate, to share their findings, to build on each other's work.
Okay, so we've got these benchmarks to measure progress, but how do we know if we're actually winning this fight against these adversarial attacks? Is AI safety? Is it keeping up with all the AI advancements?
That's the million-dollar question. And there's not an easy answer. AI is moving so fast, it's hard to keep up.
It does feel like an arms race
It does.
where the attackers are always, one step ahead.
Yeah, but the good news is just the fact that we're doing this red teaming, we're actively looking for these vulnerabilities. It means we're taking it seriously.
So it's not just about finding the solutions, it's about building this culture of awareness and
That's right.
responsibility around AI.
Exactly. We need to recognize that AI is powerful, but it also has risks,
Right.
and we need to be proactive.
And I guess that's where our listeners come in. By understanding these challenges, by talking about it, they become part of the solution.
They do. The more we talk about it, the more awareness we raise.
Yeah.
The more we encourage responsible AI development.
Well said. Okay, let's do a quick recap for our listeners. We covered a lot today.
We started by talking about why AI safety is so important, why it matters, especially now
Right.
when AI is becoming more and more part of our lives.
Then we jumped into the world of red teaming. Those ethical hackers who are out there, testing these systems, trying to find the weaknesses.
We talked about all the different types of attacks,
Yeah.
from token manipulation to these persuasive techniques, and the creative ways that people are defending against them.
We talked about benchmarks like HarmBench, which help to, standardize things,
Yeah.
and the importance of RLHF, which is all about making sure AI aligns with our values.
Right.
And finally, we talked about the challenges that lie ahead, scaling up red teaming, finding those universal attacks.
Right.
It's been a really fascinating discussion. What are the key takeaways you hope listeners will walk away with?
I hope they'll come away with a better understanding of just how important AI safety is and the role that red teaming plays in making sure that these AI systems are robust and trustworthy.
I think it's also important for listeners to realize that AI safety, it's not just a tech issue, it's a societal issue.
It is.
And it requires everyone to be involved.
It does. Researchers, developers, policymakers, and the public. We all have a role to play.
Absolutely. Well said. For our listeners who want to learn more, we have a ton of resources in the show notes.
Yeah, explore. The more we understand these challenges, the better equipped we'll be to shape the future of AI.
Couldn't agree more. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of AI safety. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged in the conversation about AI and its impact on our world.